Let's roll the Rocco clip here right away.
Sure.
Let's hear what old Rocco had to say about a tough loss last night.
Buck was he was wanting to play, but he couldn't move around well enough to play today, and I basically have to make the call along with the medical staff on something like that, and he had to get get looked at by the doc, which is part of something, it's part of what he deals with from time to time, and he was just not going to be available to play based on my decision. He wasn't going to be able to produce out there based on the way he felt.
Yeah, that was a fun one last night, Patrick.
Woo, hoo, hoo. And it was took Atterbury about a minute to remind me that 11-10 is a famous score in Twins baseball history when it comes to taking on Cleveland. September 28th, 1984 is when they blew the 10-run lead, and the famous "hands around the throat" quote from Gaetti, that with Frank Viola as your starter, they blew a 10-run lead. And that eliminated them from their upset attempt to win the that was the West. That was not the. Was that
West?
The West, American League West. Yeah.
West Division, with Kansas City won someplace else. And that came the night after Jamie Quirk had his only hit ever for the Cleveland Indians, which was a game losing home run off RD. So that's a famous time. But last night, you get a 5-1 lead for your best pitcher, Sonny Gray, but he was hanging pitches all night. His breaking ball was terrible. He just did not have the bite on his breaking ball. So they're back in the game, and then they blow. It was a great game because it was a good win. As I said, it was a good win, a bad loss, a great win, a kick in the groin loss. I mean, all in one evening. It took 3.5 hours, but all in one evening, they went up and down and all around. And but Cleveland, man, they're plucky, aren't they? They're fantastic.
They're young and they can hit now.
Yeah, they beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. They come in here and they, twice you had them. Twice you were in good shape to beat them and blew the game. They keep coming after you. And Stephen Kwan's an interesting character, isn't he? They couldn't get him out for 3 weeks. He couldn't hit a foul ball for a month, and now he's back. Now he's back getting 2 hits a game. So it's Cleveland is. They have. How'd you like Clase when he came in though?
That guy's filthy.
Those pitches he threw to Correa were, you couldn't foul them off. They were unbelievable. Either a 94-mile-an-hour a slider that hit this much of the low outside corner, or just a unhittable 101-mile-an-hour fastball also on the outside corner. Those were some. They got him and that kid that pitched the Stefan that pitched the ninth inning the night before. That guy throws 99 or 100 too. They got more bullets, man, on that pitching staff. They got way more bullets than the Twins do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What do we know about Buxton's knee? Rocco was pretty forthright there, as much as he's going to be at the end. I've heard that his knee fills up with fluid every so often, and he just, they have to rest him for a couple days.
I heard that he had his knee drained. Yes, he did, and that there was never a plan to have him. One reason they gave him a day off in Seattle, and then there was another day off, is they wanted him to play all 3 games against Cleveland. And yesterday was, I think, from what I heard, was about as bad as his knee's been. So they couldn't play him. This is we have to now accept the idea that this is chronic, and instead of getting all, everybody immediately goes on Twitter, how could you not have your best player in there? And I would have been leading the march a month ago, but this was not a Twins decision. This was, he can't play. He wasn't ready to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a DL trip out of this thing too. So we'll see. I'd be very shocked if we haven't posted a lineup yet today, I suppose, but I would be very shocked if he plays today too.
So when you're down by 6 runs on Sunday and he's playing center on turf in Arizona, and you know this, and you, by the way, are trying to get him off his feet as much as possible, why are you allowing him to complete that game? That's my question.
I don't know, but I'm not. I don't know if the two things can be related to each other. But we said at the time it seemed kind of odd to be playing him. But I think saying. I also think this flared up. I don't think it's that they found out. I think it flared up yesterday or overnight or something.
I don't know that there's anyone at fault here, Judd. That's what the conclusion I've come to is his knee is messed up.
Yeah.
It's not Rocco's fault. It's not the front office's fault. I don't know that they could have handled this season to this point much differently if his knee feels that way every so often.
They thought they were, I was all over him early, but there's a problem. We've said it a month ago that, why did he sign for $100 million? I think he signed for $100 million because he had a chronic knee problem, and that they decided to. They were worried about the long-term condition of his knee, and they better take what they can get because people are talking about it. Ramirez taking less money than he should have taken. Weren't we all surprised that Buxton settled for 100 and for 7 years? I think we were, and now I think we're finding out why. I think he's got a bad knee, and which really makes it bad because as much as him hitting his occasional home runs helps you, him playing center field helps you a lot more. And, all of a sudden he's not your center fielder. You saw it last night. Yes. The Buxton of full speed would have caught that ball. But Celestino, I'm not blaming the center fielder for not catching that ball when your relief pitcher gives up a rocket to the left center field gap. It's, you can't expect your center fielder to jump up and make a great catch on it. So I can't blame Celestino for that. But if Buxton's playing, he probably catches that ball. If Buxton's playing full speed, but the Buxton they would have had last night would have had to turn and look at it, apparently. I don't know. The narrative has now been established that they're idiots for not playing him, but I think that maybe we have to change the narrative.
Nick Gordon also started that game, I believe, in center too, and we're approaching Ben Revere level arm when it comes to Nick Gordon in center field. That poor guy has no shot at getting that ball in the infield, and also made a pretty bad error too that allowed a run to get in the scoring position yesterday too. So it's rough when he's gone.
I think we also should change our theory that Nick Gordon is a base stealer. He's an attempted base stealer. Yeah. He's not a base stealer.
He's a bust.
Every time they throw him up 8 feet, and then we go like this and wave, and did they really tag him? And all.
He's great. Right. He's great at sort of sliding around the tag. That's his skill set.
Yeah, it's I don't think any of us expected to see Cleveland as the team that you really had to worry about. But then you look at the pitching, and I guess maybe we should have looked at the end of the bullpen. You know what? Bottom line, this is not a competitive pitching staff. This is not a competitive pitching staff. And therefore, Cleveland has a competitive pitching staff. The White Sox, if they get healthy, have a competitive pitching staff, and this team is going to finish third in the division. So get used to it, folks. They might win half, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't bet on. I think I said 78 and 84 when it started, and I'm damn near going to be 100% on that one, I believe.
Well, as Pagan was trotting out there last night, about to give up a crooked number, I happened to pull open the baseball reference page for Taylor Rogers to see how things were going in San Diego this season. He leads the league in saves with 21. He has a 2.79 earned run average and 33 strikeouts in 29 innings. It's maybe the best season of Taylor Rogers' career.
Yeah, he had a couple, he was impeccable for 6-7 weeks. He had a couple of games where I think he's blowing 2 now. One was a 1-run game, and he had one game when he gave up 3 or something, but the ERA is inflated. Yes, from what I'm told by people who interview him every day, nobody was more shocked about that trade than Terry Francona, who was very happy to see Taylor Rogers leave the Twins because his team had very little luck against them. So, yeah, they've done some odd things, but right now, the big problems are the young pitchers haven't been developed, and they got one stud arm, Durant. Durant's the one guy in the bullpen that you don't want to face, and Pagan goes out and strikes out the side in the 8th inning. Why are they sending him back out for the 9th?
Yep.
I mean,
and you knew what was going to happen.
Did they really think all of a sudden he was superb? I know you only got Duffy and Thornburg out there, but take a shot, give Duffy another chance at rehabilitation. So.
Well, and if Durant was going to pitch 2 the previous night, why didn't you get him up as soon as Arise hit a home run, a 3-run shot, by the way, with 1 out, you're up by 2. Rocco claimed, well, he wasn't warming up, but get him up at that point in time. And because if you're going to burn him so he can't pitch on Wednesday, then sure as hell try to pitch him for 2 on Tuesday.
Among my bashers today, some guy, I can't remember, this guy's always thinks he's a genius. He says, wait till they trade Arise and somebody else before the deadline. They have the same chance of trading Arise as, of acquiring Aaron Judge, you moron.
Hey, Buster only.
Buster only.
Declan found a Buster only 7 teams that could be in the mix for Aaron Judge this offseason. The Twins were on the list of 7.
It's a listicle, baby.
How do they always get on that list? How do they get on these
Well, his
lists?
logic was they signed Carlos Correa for $35 million.
Yeah.
That money probably comes off the books because he probably opts out. And so, maybe they're willing to spend $400 million now.
Aaron Judge can stay in New York for the same money, obviously. Or he could go to places, or he could stay there and hit pop-ups that are home runs, or he could come here. He'd hit his home runs here too, but come here and freeze his ass off in 3 months a year in front of 18,000 people. Yeah, he's.
What would the Twins have to? So we know the Yankees are going to offer something ridiculous.
What kind of hash is my friend Buster?
They're ordering him, Patrick, to come up with lists. That's what it is.
This must be from the highest mounts of Nepal or something. This must be the greatest hash in the history of mankind.
I want to see more Patrick Royce listicles myself. That's what I want to see. I want you to start to come up with lists. That's the new thing. The kids love the list.
Yeah,
ESPN found that out.
They do love the list. That's for sure. But yeah, that's a terrible loss. That was a terrible loss last night. I love making fun of that. This will be a bad loss, but that was when you blow it twice. Those are the worst kind. When you blow them twice, right? Those are the worst losses.
Yeah.
You have them one because you got Sonny Gray on the mound, and you blow that one. And then you come back, and Urshela hits this. By the way, the juice is back into baseball. We've talked about that. They haven't told us, but the juice is back into baseball. A couple of those home runs to left field were hardly hit. Those fly balls that go out of the park. The juice is back into baseball. But that's a terrible loss. But it did bring back those lovely memories of being in Municipal Stadium. The mistake by the lake with 800 people in the stands on Thursday and Friday, and Billy Gardner in there having a beer after the game, talking about Ron Davis 2 nights in a row. First Jamie Quirk, and then blowing a 10-run lead. It was a fantastic 48 hours. It really was.
Pat, we lost the goose yesterday.
Yes.
Tony Siragusa, 55 years old, man.
He was a character, and I was telling you guys off the air. So the 2001, the Giants go to the Super Bowl, right? That was after they beat that was 41 Donut, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the Ravens go. So I decide to stick around and try to track down Tony Siragusa's. I didn't know anything about him, but I knew that he lived in New Jersey. And this is when you can look at a phone book and call somebody, right? And I Yeah, Dad. Then I find out Dad's dead. Dad died when he was 48 years old. Pete. But I get the mom on the phone, and I say, "Hey, can I come down and see you?" And it's in Kenilworth, I think, a little town where he went to high school, not far from where I was staying. And I went down and spent a few hours with Rosemary, and what a treat that was, man! Because this was in it was The Sopranos. It was Tony was a driver in The Sopranos. He had a role in The Sopranos, but Rose, I spent a few hours with Rosemary and everybody in the neighborhood. Rosemary was like the queen bee of the neighborhood, and they were the other ladies in the neighborhood would just wander in and say, "What do you have for lunch today?" I didn't have time to cook lunch, so she'd make all of them lunch. And the mom, the 89-year-old mom, her 89-year-old mom drove over came driving over in a big Cadillac or something, and it was great. It was right out of this was blue collar version of The Sopranos. It was fantastic, and he always came off as a great guy, but with his hugeness and his dad's history, I don't think this is a shock that Tony is no longer with us at age 55. But they had him on the sidelines, for 8 years maybe?
Yeah.
He was not really the petite, good-looking young gal with the microphone.
And he'd shove that microphone in a coach's face with those big, meaty hands.
Oh, God,
sweating.
State wrestling champion in New Jersey. How would you like
laying on top of you?
How would you like to look across the mat and see this?
Just breathing in your ear.
You're probably about 275, man. Come over there and grab you by the head and push you down.
Yeah, I'd probably withdraw.
Linguine and garlic on his breath as he pins you.
Yeah, right.
But you know what he is, though? He was part, really, of that last group of mammoth, just fat, fun nose tackles.
Yeah,
like those guys are gone now.
Yeah.
I ran across this quote about. Let me see this. It had on my first. I got a print out of that column. Where did he say that he hit? He made a famous hit in that game, and he said, "I got to get on the quarterback. I can't." And they hit in the Ravens game because they beat Rich Gannon and the Raiders, right? And
yes.
He said
it was Gannon.
I got on him with my full fat. He said, one of the few guys you can land on. He says, one of the few guys I've been able to land on with my full fat. He said, so that was a big play in the game. So
here's another quote. So Mike Silver posted something from an old SI article he did back in the day, and I'm just going to read this from Tony Siragusa. My abilities were overlooked for a long time, but people are starting to see that I'm a piece of the puzzle. When I was in college, people told me, sure, you can stop the run, but anyone can do that. If you want to make money in the NFL, you've got to stop the passer. That's bullcrap. It's like all these people who tell you you've got to be in computers to make money. Yeah? You know what? You still need a bleeping plumber to fix your toilet. The scarcer they are, the more money you'll make. Because what are you going to do? Call a bleeping computer guy to fix your bleeping crapper?
And his mom probably would have said the same thing. It was, he was a character. But one of the better ideas I had was to Drew. I wonder what his family's like because you get down there and it was man alive. It was the kitchen was the only person missing was Nancy Marchand. You remember the mom from wasn't it Nancy Marchand was Tony's mean, miserable mother? Wasn't that her? Right? Yeah. I mean,
do you guys think attending a Siragusa, like an all-in Siragusa family dinner, would be worth cutting 10 years off your life?
I think about it.
Probably would. Yes, it
Just
would.
inject it right into your veins.
Yes.
Arteries
Speaking
get
of
clogged
funerals,
up.
Joe Driscoll's wake today at 4 p.m. in Le Sueur. There's only one funeral home in town. You want to get there early if you want to get in. I want to tell you. I think I'm going to set up a little card table in front and say, come over and tell me your best Driscoll story. Okay. I've got a supply of them, but I want to refresh it. I want to have a new supply of the great Joe Driscoll, one of the great town ball players of all time. And also a very good 3-sport athlete. And I got a copy of his Kelly Loft down at Southwest State sent me his resume from his time as a quarterback and a baseball player at Southwest State. And he's eligible in 70, ineligible in 71, eligible in 72, ineligible in 73, pops up again a little in 74. Everybody says, one of the great athletes ever. Yes, if they didn't make him go to those damn classes, he would have been. Joe was not into the book learning, man, and he was but a great character. And one of the guys, I think I told you guys this, one of the guys I heard from that he had died, I knew it by then, but was Glenn Mason, because Driscoll painted his house. Driscoll, he called me one day and said, this guy here says he's your idol that's painting my house. And I said, oh, Driscoll must be there. And he said, yeah, it is. It was, so Mace fell in love with the guy, having him there 3-4 days. As somebody said, Joe showed up to paint and he worked 10 to 2 straight through, man. And he was done for the day. And he had to go do something else. But great character. He had a stroke about 3 years ago, and it looked like he was recovering, but the last year was tough. So
Yeah. Hey,
quite a turnout.
Before we say goodbye, did you see who the newest Good Morning Football host is, taking over for Kay Adams, who departed?
No.
Jamie Erdahl.
Really? Way to go, Jamie. She couldn't have done it without all that work we had her do for us, which was send out, for Joe and I, we send out
Sports person of the day, right?
Sports person of the day. Boy, did we take advantage of her skills. She finally said, I'm not learning much here. I think she was very nice. And when she goes to I've seen her out at the fair a few times, but good for her. That's great.
I feel like, while the four of us sit here and bum around, we can at least look back at the old 1500 ESPN and say, what a launching ground. Tom Pelissero, Jamie Erdahl, Courtney Cronin's on Around the Horn every other day now on ESPN, Zach Harper on Lebitard Network. Yes. What a developmental ground.
We were a launching pad for everybody but ourselves.
Yep.
Right?
So true.
That's great.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah, well, a sad day. Tony dying, and the Twins falling out of first place, and now we can officially stop saying they were still tied for first, even though they weren't, because they were 5 percentage points behind them. But they're out of first place, and let me predict, never to be seen again. Okay.
Wow. There it is.
I do not like this team because I hate the pitching staff. I hate the pitching.
Can we put Pat on the record there?
Write this down.
The Twins will not have sole possession of first place.
Sole possession of first place. Again.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
We go to Cleveland next week and lose 4 out of 5. That'll be bad.
Here we go again.
There it is.
Just go for the 5-game sweep. See you, Royce.
You can't get excited with this pitching staff. You can't.
Don't
Sorry.
disagree.
It's not a big league pitching staff.
He's on the record now. On the record.
All right, Joe.
All right. See you, Pat.
Royce. Bye.
All right. There it is. Presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been around for over 100 years, almost as long as Patrick Royce, helping businesses with risk management tools and resources and helping maximize the success of your business. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect your